in this video, I'm going to discuss a very sacred text from Mahayana Buddhism. But before even getting started, I want to warn you, no matter how smart you are, these sacred texts is highly holy. So you really have to show some humility, humbleness towards it. You can't be disrespectful, and no matter how smart you are, you have to show some open-mindedness. If you show your ignorance and ego, there will be a lot of karmic consequences. Also, I'm not the best person to convey these sacred writings because I'm not a guru. So I'm also really humble while discussing such sacred writings. In 2021, I was reading a lot about Vajrayana, and I was reading about like tantric practices of how to cut down ego. And while doing it, I came across some Mahayana writings. Mahayana is a Buddhist school, and I came across this writing named Madhyamika. So Madhyamika was written by an ancient guru named Nagarjuna. He was an ancient yogi of 2nd century, and Nagarjuna was kind of like a troll for all the NPC rationalist 200 IQ autistic people, and he was someone who really understood us, and he tried his best to explain such ancient wisdom to us. And I'm really humbled that today I'm trying to discuss it. But just because these are not like some concepts which you can understand like Aristotle philosophy, this is not like one brick to your knowledge wall. So this is why don't think like by just listening to me or I know it and I'm going to tell you and then you will know it. It's actually much deeper than that. All right, so there is a concept from Buddha, all right, in Buddhism, impermanence, anyata. It basically means that things don't stay same even for a moment. So think of it like if there's a movie and if you see in 1 second there are like 25 frames. Now if you zoom in, there are frames, but just because two frames look similar, it doesn't mean they are same. And if you zoom in, you can see a one single frame, but when you zoom into reality, there is no single movement. It's basically every movement is originated from the previous movement. So just because they look same, it doesn't mean they are same. So think of it like, change is not accidental. It is built into existence. Impermanence doesn't mean things change sometimes. It means change is what things are. So just because you cannot find any atomic movement with inherent nature, it doesn't mean like there is no reality. It means that reality exists, but there is no intrinsic nature. It's just dependent on the previous moment. All right. So when most mainstream people, when they see Buddha's teaching, they listen this that nothing is permanent, and they think like it means that your girlfriend will leave you someday or your father will die. Well, you can say this, but if you look at the deep core philosophy of like a Tibetan Buddhist tradition, it means that existence, there is no such thing as permanent object. It's like a process. Everything is changing constantly, and it's just an illusion. Just because two frames look similar, it doesn't mean they are like same thing. And you can also see it and understand this concept of like self. All right, so there is no such thing as self. It is everything is like non-self. So if you look at the body, for example, how you define yourself. Well, you are just a process. Everything is constantly changing. Your body is constantly having some changes, and even if you go really deep into your experiences, these experiences are also not permanent. All right, thoughts are constantly changing, your sensations are constantly changing. So this is where Nagarjuna, this was like the base proposition which Nagarjuna agreed on. Now after that, like Nagarjuna defined this thing called like Swabhava, self-nature. So he said Swabhava is basically an intrinsic nature, or like it's like if there is some object, if there is some phenomena, so you can also call it dharma. There have to be like some intrinsic, non-changing, independent essence to something. That's how he defined Swabhava. So if something had Swabhava, it would be independent, uncaused and unchanging, which basically means that there will be no cause of it and it won't change to something else. Now, there is a line of thought by a lot of like philosophers, you can call philosophers or gurus, who have took this point and try to prove it that there is no swabhava of things. And I will put some links in the description where people have explained it in a much better way, because I cannot do it in this video. So things are constantly changing, and there is no such thing as like core nature in any phenomena. From there arises a concept called like emptiness. So what Nagarjuna did is he said that emptiness is absence of swabhava. So all phenomena are empty of its nature. And if you look at emptiness itself, this is also empty. So what does it mean? It means like to be empty means to lack an independent essence, not to be non-existent. Now I know none of this is making sense. So I'm going to explain you from the concept, like let's take computers for a second. So if you look at a machine, a system, a computer, if you go really deep into it, you will find these logic gates, all right, like true and false. Now, if you look at these gates like OR, NAND, and there are a lot of gates, you have done like computer science class. When you say true, it means like 5 volts. When you say false, it means like 0 volt, 1 volt. Now the thing is that this is true and false only from the perception of a system, all right. If you truly try to find a swabhava, an essence, there is no essence, all right. It's just true and false based on a relatively, all right. It is not independent. It is arising from a dependent origination. So dependent origination is also something which is like, you can actually read a lot about dependent origination. I have been studying it for many years now. Everything exists only through dependence on a cause and condition, all right. So there cannot be a condition without a cause. Nothing exists on its own. Everything exists only in relation to something. So think of it like just because you have a perception, that's why there is a thing. Just because you're looking at something, that's why there is a thing, all right. So there are a lot of ways you can understand dependent origination, all right. All the definitions which we have, all the factual knowledge which we have, all of this is just coming from some sort of like perception, let's say. But so in Buddhism, there are like two realities. One is like conventional reality, one is ultimate reality. So conventional reality is goal-based reality. It's what we live in. Okay. So currently a lot of people are like really intelligent. Well, that's something good in conventional reality, because you can accomplish a lot of things. You can actually create systems, computers, and conventional reality is for your daily life. But when you look at ultimate reality, there is no intrinsic nature of things. And if you try to create any perception in ultimate reality, that perception have to be false perception. So one really good definition which I like is ultimate reality is negation of all beliefs, all right. But that definition itself is contradictory. It's like it's one concept. So you have to keep in mind that emptiness is also empty of its nature. Now, one more thing is that many people might listen to Nagarjuna and they think, all right, this is just nihilism. But that's not what Nagarjuna was trying to say. In fact, it's not nihilism. So he's not denying phenomena. He's just saying that phenomena exist independent of any intrinsic nature. But phenomena do happen, all right? So now let's just move ahead and discuss one more thing. When someone listen to Nagarjuna, for example, he's like, all right, after reading like 1 day, spending 2 days, now it makes sense to me. Okay, I do understand what Nagarjuna is trying to say. But this is again a conceptual understanding. This is again like you as a creature with a limited perception, limited way of looking at things. You understand it from a mind which is like so much into clinging that you're constantly clinging to ideas. But all these ancient yogis, all these ancient meditators, they never had like Instagram, they never had like so much distraction. So there were a lot of enlightened people in Eastern tradition in ancient time, and these people had such a control over their minds that they were looking at movements, their brain behavior in a very close way, and they used to get all this wisdom not from rational conclusions. Because a lot of people are like, okay, Nagarjuna, he's sounding a rationalist, all right, why should I respect him? And this is like one philosophers like who have taken LSD and he's just writing these things. That's not how things are. They are just for us, for people like us, all right, an enlightened person. They're trying to explain it in a rational way, but there is no way we can, understand such wisdom from rationality. So I can explain you what it's like to, feel what it's like to be in love, but there is no way you can, experience it. It's just something you understand conceptually. Just like that, if you understand such concepts like concept of emptiness or dependent origination, it is just very shallow understanding. This is not like true ultimate wisdom. So these people, all these ancient yogis and wise people, are the real gurus who used to teach and study such things and had like such philosophies. They had such control over their mind. They used to see reality as it is, and they were highly detached. So no matter how much you conceptually understand these things, you're still clinging to ideas. You are still just you. You're still like you are an enlightened brain. But these people, they were truly enlightened. So this is why, you should show some humbleness. You should show some respect. Just because you understand it conceptually with your ego, it doesn't mean you truly understand it. So this is one point which I'm like highly focusing, because a lot of people, they have this idea that by just reading these things, they are like smart people and they just understand such concept. But in the end of the day, there's a lot in it. All right. So you have to spend a lot of time, in fact, years and years to fully grasp. You can't even like rationally grasp such ideas. But so Nagarjuna, in the end of the day, called his philosophy the middle way. All right. So he was never into eternalism. He was not neither into nihilism. He was like, the even clinging to Buddhist philosophy. Many people say that, all right, religious people like Buddhist people, they just want you to believe in their philosophy. No, they are actually even denying that. They're like, do not cling. In fact, I listened to one nun, and she was like, she meditated for many years, and she said like reading a lot of Tibetan Buddhist philosophy is actually bad for spiritual journey. Okay, so this is, even I understand, like discussing these things, they are actually not so good. All right, I mean, yes, there are ancient yogis, there are like a lot of meditators who discuss it, practitioners who discuss it, but they discuss it because they have like a lot of insights, and they have this whole other realm where they discuss such philosophy. They understand, it's their way of looking at like reality. But those are like, we are not them. Okay, we are not like, whenever we approach such things, we have to show some humility, humbleness. We shouldn't show our ego.